Prepare yourself for Earthling Entertainment, the perfect blend of paranormal and pop culture, with your host, Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Earthling Entertainment with Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang.
Hey, I'm the host that comes out every full moon, Joe Wakefield.
I'm Ryan Lang. What's up?
It's true. And for those of you joining us for the first time, what we do here is a little bit of the spooky, a little bit of the creepy. Sometimes it's cryptozoology, or it's a ghost story, or a myth, or a legend, but it's always creepy, spooky time.
Oh my God.
Then we have a segment called Disclosure Discussion. That one's all about aliens.
I'm just asking questions. UFO stories, videos, photos, anything like that. We love that kind of shit.
That's right. And then the second half of the show, the latter half, if you will, is entertainment. Now, sometimes we have news, we have movie news, video games news, or we have a trivia game, or we have interviews with people in the film industry or music industry, but it's all entertainment. And those two sections together, the spooky and the entertainment, come together in the moon pie of awesome we call the Earthling Entertainment Podcast. Welcome.
Thanks for joining us.
That's right. So, Ryan, one of my favorite movies growing up, and I know you were late to the game. You didn't think it was that great, but I loved The Crow, the original Crow movie.
I was late to the game on The Crow. I don't know why. Like, I was totally part of the Hot Topic generation. By all rights, I should have adored that movie, but I really didn't watch it, until like I was older.
I think people blew it up for you. I think they made it out to seem like it was like, God's gift to cinema.
We say it all the time. Like, expectations can really affect how you enjoy a movie.
It's true. That's true. That's why your expectations cannot. You have to, like you said, you have to try to go into something very, very clean.
Yeah.
And so I did that with The New Crow. The New Crow came out this weekend. And so it cost, I believe it was $50 million to make.
That's what I heard.
Which, is, I don't want to say it's, low budget, but it's not bad. Okay. That's a reasonable amount of money to spend on a Crow movie. I think you should have done closer to 30 million, but
especially when you're talking about a movie that really had no special effects in the original one anyway.
Well, there were a few special effects like the healing and things like that. But anyways, so it was 50 million, and the opening weekend it made less than 5 million.
That's what I heard too. Yeah, it was a stinker in the box office.
It was. And I got to be honest, Ryan, it wasn't very good.
I heard that too, but I didn't want to comment because, I haven't seen it yet.
Fair enough. Well, I'm going to talk in a spoiler-free way, so if anybody wants to see the movie, don't worry, I'm not going to spoil it for you. But here's the thing. They did a couple good things and a couple bad things. A good thing is they really focused on the relationship between the two main characters, the love story, if you will, before the tragedy happens.
Right, because you got to be into it.
But it went on a little too long. It was like 40 minutes into it, and the tragedy hadn't happened yet, Ryan.
You're kidding.
No, and long story short, the whole badass being a crow, going around like doing his thing of revenge, honestly was probably like 20 minutes of this movie.
Huh.
It was so slow.
It's been a while since I saw the original, but wasn't it like the first scene of the film when she gets,
Yeah. The first scene of the original film, Eric Draven's wife or fiance, Shelley, is murdered. And, for the rest of the movie, he's basically going around as a vengeful undead person to take revenge. So it's essentially the same basic skeleton of that story, this new one. But there's different characterizations of the people. I don't know. The reimagining didn't work for me. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So that's just it. I wanted to give a little brief mention there about The Crow. Are you looking forward to that at all?
I mean, I'll watch it. I wonder if it just suffered from listening to a lot of backlash about the way he looked as the Crow. And
no, because the film was already made at that point.
Oh, okay. Because I wasn't sure if maybe that was the case where they're like, oh, well, maybe we should use more of him before he's the Crow. You know what I mean? Like maybe I don't know.
If that was true, then this cut would have been like a 5-hour movie.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, the action was badass. There was he goes through a rampage. This is not a spoiler. I'm just saying he goes through a rampage, killing folks, trying to get to the ultimate goal. And all through that scene was very badass.
Cool.
And there was some imagery of like the afterlife, or I should say purgatory. That was very cool. It was in like a train station, kind of like an abandoned train station in like a weird misty world. So the visuals are some cool, but I really liked the gothic aesthetic of the first one. This was not gothic at all. This was like, I don't know, tragic for sure, but it was more, I don't want to say hip hoppy because it wasn't hip hop. It was just, it felt more like a real world scenario, despite the fact that there was extraordinary things happening. Whereas the first one kind of felt like its own little pocket universe. Like it was Detroit, but it was like very, Tim Burton Batman looking Detroit.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well that's cool, man. Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna see it, but I'm probably not gonna go out to the theater. I'll wait.
Fair enough. Well, guys, with that, we're going to jump into our first section, which is spooky stuff. And on this week's spooky stuff, we are covering werewolves.
Strap yourselves in.
Yeah, well, werewolves, everyone knows a bit about werewolves because of movies and pop culture, but we wanted to get into some of the stories that you may not have heard of. So this is a long one. It's balancing out last week of having the really long disclosure discussion. This one is going to be a long spooky stuff. And this is our 52nd episode.
Yeah.
Therefore, that means there's a year's worth of Earthling Entertainment out there for anyone who wants to listen. And in celebration of our 52nd episode, we're doing spooky stuff, werewolves. Enjoy.
Spooky stuff. When the full moon rises, everyone knows to be on high alert. The full moon has long been caused for the strange shifts in human behavior, but is perhaps most associated with the transformation of one exceptionally fearful being, the werewolf. Werewolves have been a part of European folklore for centuries, but they caught on in popularity when citizens were put on trial for wolf charming and lycanthropy in later end of the Middle Ages. A werewolf is a man that has been cursed or charmed into a beast that hunts at night and craves human flesh. The word werewolf literally translates into man-wolf, were meaning man. There are many ways in which this transformation could occur. Many legends claim that a man would transform into a werewolf if he was bitten or scratched by another werewolf in its animal form.
So that one's the classic one. That one's like from all the movies. I didn't hear scratch. I also heard that like a zombie could turn you into a zombie with a scratch. I don't like the scratch. The biting makes sense to me because if you get bit, there's like an exchange of saliva and maybe there's a venom sac in the mouth. All that makes sense. But a scratch, I don't know.
I want to say it wasn't that was American Werewolf in London. He got scratched.
Well, he got bit too.
Oh, did he get bit? Okay. See, then there you go. I forgot about that. It's been a while since I've seen those. There are also accounts of children who were cursed to hunt as werewolves if they grew up in abusive homes.
Yeah, well, that sucks. You get beaten as a kid, you get turned into a werewolf simply because you're abused?
That is shit on both ends of the stick right there.
That is rough.
There are many records of people willingly transforming into werewolves. One of the most common claims for being able to transform into the beast was for a person to remove all of their clothing and wear a belt made of wolfskin. Similar stories hold the same as being true for individuals that wore the entire wolfskin. In both of these cases, the werewolf would need to find their clothing again to transform back into a human. That doesn't sound too hard.
Yeah, burn the clothing and you screw your neighbor and he's a werewolf now.
Well, I'll be damned.
Yeah.
There are also tales of magic salves that could transform a person. Other sources tell of enchanted streams that gave people the ability to transform. Other transformation rituals include drinking rainwater out of the footprint of a wolf and sleeping with the light of a full moon on one's face during a Wednesday or Friday summer night.
Okay, so hold on. That is very specific.
Very.
So, if you just happen to drink some water out of a werewolf footprint, while you're in the woods, just
kind of gross.
Just something to do. Oh, there's a little puddle. Fuck dysentery. You'll just
I was gonna say,
get a little sip. It's cool.
I played Oregon Trail. That's how you get dysentery. You never drink water from puddles.
Right. And then you're like, well, if it's only Wednesday or Friday, mind you, if you happen to fall asleep in the moonlight that same day, you drink, you turn. What a weirdly specific. That feels like somebody was caught in a lie. And they're like, how'd you turn into a werewolf?
What day was it? What day was it?
Like, oh, okay, that's how you did it. Well, shit. I guess I'll go drink from a. No, you can't because today's Tuesday.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
it only works on Wednesday and Friday.
So tomorrow?
No.
Yeah, it's a Wednesday.
Oh.
I want to be a werewolf. I want to transform, dude.
Well, see, that's where he was caught in the lie. But continue.
Many areas where Christianity was the dominant religion tell of werewolf transformations through an alliance with the devil.
Yeah, seems like if you're gonna make a deal with the devil, you could like do something cooler, like go to the crossroads and know how to play the fiddle a little bit better than turning into a wolf creature that is mindless and murders. But it's just me.
It does kind of sound fun though to become a werewolf. Like if you could do it for just one night, and you knew that like you could like not hurt anybody, you could just run around as a
But
crazy
that's
wolf.
not part of it. You're gonna hurt someone.
Yeah, you're right.
You can't pick and choose what you want from it.
I guess
It's
you're
like
right.
I want to be a vampire, but I want to be a sexy looking one, not like a weird bat version. Well, who
Well, to
knows
be-
which one's real, though?
I mean, to be fair, the bat version's pretty sexy.
Well, Ryan, we've talked about your gargoyle fetish. Continue.
Yes.
Not on the air.
I blame Van Helsing.
I blame Disney's gargoyles.
Many historians believe this was a way to explain the violent and cannibalistic impulses of predatory serial killers in the Middle Ages.
Which actually makes sense.
It does. Religious cultures sometimes explained werewolf transformations as being a divine punishment from God himself. In fact, those who were excommunicated from the Roman Catholic Church were said to be cursed with werewolfism. Although werewolf transformation was thought to be a terrible curse, there were remedies that were rumored to cure the afflicted person. Some cultures believed extreme bouts of exercise would be enough to cure an afflicted individual. So just get on the treadmill.
Like, no, man. You gotta go lift some weights.
You gotta hit the gym, man.
You don't want to be a werewolf? Treadmill.
It's like the hair just started falling off of me.
Stair stepper.
Just werewolves in the gym. It's like, hey, no judgment zone.
Yeah.
No judgment zone.
Can you imagine the church having like a series of like Wolf Be Gone gyms and they just send people there and it's just like fat camp for werewolves?
It's like, dude, don't start a howl. Ow, like everybody in there. Ow, it's like a lunk alarm is just going off
Like, all
constantly.
right, guys, you're gonna have to do another lap. You
Like-
got another howler.
Like, God damn it.
Oh my god. Yeah, because it'd be like grunting in the gym. People be going, "Ugh." Nope. They're going, ow.
It's like, you can't sit there. You can't be at Planet. Yeah, Planet Fitness is just gonna have to make a no werewolves rule. Let's face it, it's just not gonna work. They're gonna have to go like LA Fitness, like Total Gym kind of thing. That's gonna have to be the one they have to go to.
I say we hit up the government for a grant and get them all Bowflexes.
Bowflex.
That's right.
Someone call Chuck Norris.
That's right.
Get Chuck Norris on the phone.
Now, I have a question for you, Ryan. Do you think Bowflex still exists?
I don't think so. I don't think so. That is an old. They hired Chuck Norris to fool the American people. They ran that commercial on every channel they could afford
Forever.
They were so desperate
Before
to get rid of
streaming
those.
at night, they just played Bowflex commercial.
And I knew people who had them. Like, people fell for that shit. Like, that shit was around. So anyways,
Back
Chuck
to
Norris,
werewolves.
we all know Chuck Norris is a werewolf, and he does have full control the entire time.
Oh my god. I wanna just point out for a quick second that we have an amazing show because on our topic of werewolves, somehow get into the discussion of whether Bowflexes exist anymore.
Yeah,
God bless you, Ryan.
and we're not the kind of show that is going to give you guys the dead air of us Googling it. If you want to Google it, go ahead and Google it. We're not going to do it. Others thought that striking a werewolf on the scalp with a knife was enough to stop the transformation. It's like, well, this still sucks. Got like a knife in my head. Thanks, Joe. I'm not a werewolf anymore, but I've got a freaking knife in my head.
It's like, yeah. Like,
Just bah!
feel better.
Oh God! There were also reports of piercing a werewolf's hands with nails to produce a cure. That sounds very
How does
Christian-like.
that?
Like
Yeah, that does.
that stigmata thing, yeah. In Europe, where werewolf lore became the most popularized, it was thought that there were 3 ways to cure werewolf transformation: with wolfsbane, which is a poisonous plant, surgery, or exorcism. I've actually heard of the Wolfsbane one.
The Wolfsbane one, yeah, because there was a film, Ginger Snaps. I love that film. There's 3 of them.
Oh, that must be where I heard it.
There's one, a proper sequel, and then they made a prequel called Ginger Snaps Back. But anyways, in that one, at the end of the first one, you think that Wolfbane is a cure, and then in the second one, it's revealed to be more like a vaccine that slowly slows down the changing process. But it's a good movie. You should check it out. By the way, yes,
Joe looked it
the
up.
Bowflex still. Well, you can't say that we're not gonna look it up.
Well, why not? We're not. Yeah, it's it was kind of like, but do it.
All
Let's
right,
see.
all right, yeah. All right. So yes, the Bowflex still exists as of April 2024,
Nice.
when Johnson Health Tech Rental Company, I guess, makes it. So there you go.
So it was repurchased by a different company.
I guess so. They went, yeah. So Bowflex, bro.
Dude, they made a ton of money on that machine. They sold it for a lot.
The only commercials that had more than Bowflex was Girls Gone Wild.
That's oh my god, every day, every night, dude. That was it. It was
Comedy
just,
Central made half their money on Girls Gone Wild infomercials after midnight.
And fucking Bowflex, like literally just
Bowflex.
back to back. Unfortunately, many of the supposed cures that were supported by Europe's early doctors killed the majority of the patients.
Especially the exercise.
Let's
Those
face
fatties just fell over.
I don't think there were many fat people back in the Middle Ages, Joe. It was not really a time of abundance.
I saw, what was it, Robin Hood? Friar Tuck was fat as shit.
That's right. That's
Yep.
right. Movies are
So-
100% accurate.
Exactly.
Off to the movies we shall go, where we learn everything that we know. So, German lore proves to be much less violent. To cure an afflicted person, one must simply call the werewolf by its Christian name 3 times.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice!
God damn it, Joe, there he is!
Michael Keaton!
Get out of here, Michael Keaton! One of the most common identifiers of a supposed werewolf was a unibrow.
Oh, yeah.
Other signs included carved fingernails similar to claws, lower than normal ears, and a swinging stride that resembled that of a wolf.
Yeah, basically anybody who was kind of ugly that they thought looked a little bit like a wolf, they were like, yeah, he's a werewolf.
It's like, he's a witch! No, werewolf! Werewolf! If an individual was identified as a potential werewolf, they were often subjected to tests to see if the accusations against them could hold up. One of the most common tests was to cut the skin of the accused to see if fur could be found underneath the wound.
Oh, that's horrifying. Can you imagine if you cut someone and there was fur underneath? That is a freaky thought.
That right there reminds me of the Trick or Treat movie, because that was their whole werewolf scene. The girls basically it was like they were stripping, but they were literally stripping their skin, and underneath it was werewolf, all fur.
Yeah.
That scene was strangely hot.
Well, Trick or Treat, not just because of that scene. My favorite Halloween movie.
Oh yeah. Russian folklore also claims that werewolves had bristles underneath their tongues that couldn't be found on normal human beings. That sounds terribly uncomfortable.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the inside of a penguin's mouth? Not like personally, but like Googled it. They have like these weird kind of bristle type teeth going all the way down their throat. It's so weird. So
Like to catch fish, I'm guessing?
I think, I guess, yeah.
That's really weird. Like, dude, I hate it when I get like a little hair in my mouth. I couldn't imagine.
Well, I think if you're born that way, you're kind of used to it, right?
I guess, yeah. When werewolves were in their animal form, it is said that there are surprisingly few differences between the creature and an actual wolf. One of the biggest indicators of a werewolf would be the absence of a tail, though Swedish folklore suggests that some werewolves ran on 3 legs and held their 4th leg out behind them to appear like a normal wolf in the distance.
Which is kind
Why
of...
is that funny?
I don't know.
Like in my head.
It's awesome.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Joe is showing me the throat of a fucking penguin, and it is petrifying.
Yeah, it kind of looks like the Sarlacc pit.
My god, it really is. That's it. That's the Sarlacc pit. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, Google the inside of a penguin's mouth. It's scary. You'll never look at a penguin the same way.
Spooky stuff indeed. It was also thought
Back to werewolves.
that werewolves had human eyes and voices. That would be freaky. Like, hey, I'm gonna eat you.
I wanted to be John Benjamin though.
Who's
Archer, the convenience store guy.
Oh,
Bob
like,
from Bob's Burgers.
Like I can't do that voice. Like
Yeah.
it's hard.
That's why he gets hired.
Just like, hey, how's it going? Gonna eat you now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
It's nothing personal.
nothing personal.
I'm hungry.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
here.
sort of a werewolf, and you're sort of human. I don't know if you noticed the moon's full. Like, yeah, that's my best. Like,
No,
I can't do him.
The
Like, he's got
moon's
such a
full,
voice.
and I'm not.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Okay. Ending it on that note. Continuing. It was also thought. Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, that's not where I left off. One of the easiest ways to identify a suspected werewolf was to try to injure the werewolf with a mark that would be easily identifiable.
Like a brand or something.
It was believed that when a werewolf was injured in animal form, the same injury would manifest itself in the being's human form. One of the most...
This is why you should not neuter your pets, just in case.
Never know. Never know. One of the most
Can you
common...
imagine a werewolf getting picked up by like a city? Just like thrown in a pound, neutered. You wake up the next day, you're like, what the hell happened?
Oh my God, you got a chip. Now you're chipped.
Oh my God, you got a shock collar, but it's just a little too small for your human neck. So
And
you
you-
wake up, just go,
Now you have to go home with like a weird suburban family. It's just like, bad puppies.
And
We
then
love you.
you're going to go to the hospital and they're going to be like, well, you've just been neutered and you have choke lines around your neck. We know the kind of shit you're into. And you're like, no, I'm a werewolf. And they're like, sure you are. Come on in, bud.
That's a bad Joe. It's a bad Joe.
Oh
Go lay down.
my God. Gross.
One of the most common themes of werewolves is their craving for human flesh.
Num, 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 num.
At night.
Becky.
Becky. At night, these creatures are said to hunt for victims in order to sate their deep hunger. There are many different versions and variations of werewolves, but many of these stories involve the transformation of a sinner into a wolf. There are several sources that specify that a person who was guilty of committing a deadly sin would be cursed to turn into a werewolf by night for 7 years. Many of these variations specify that werewolves prefer to eat children, though there are plenty of tales that suggest werewolves choose their victims indiscriminately. There are also tales that suggest that werewolves could be spotted in their human form by their uncontrollable rage.
Okay, so if you got a little bit of roid rage, just assuming you're a werewolf?
I mean, back then they were just trying to explain shit, right? There was probably just people who were just pissed off, like,
Yeah,
well,
it's
damn
not
it, you're
like-
a werewolf. It's like, no, dude, he's just a dick.
It's like, no, I haven't bathed. I have no money. There's rampant disease.
It's like just trying to feed my family here, and everyone's now accusing me of being a werewolf.
Just because my ears are a little low on my fucking head.
That does suck. You're right. They
Yeah.
literally just described ugly people and went, werewolf.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine if the world
Like-
was run by like kindergartners? I don't like him. He's ugly.
And there's Melvin over there just, now I'm a werewolf now.
I'd be like, dude, I got a fucking unibrow is bad enough. Can't get a date. Now I'm being called a werewolf.
This is just bullshit. This is perhaps influenced by the Altheanar. The Altheanar, a Norse cult that worshipped the wolf and made it their ultimate goal in life to shapeshift into a wolf. These fierce warriors adopted all of the traits of their patron that lived in the woods. They were thought to be immune to iron and fire when fighting, and were similar to the berserkers in their manner and practices.
Which is crazy. Because you know the term going berserk?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's from the berserkers. Which,
Fuck yeah.
yeah, right? Which I guess basically just ran into battle. Just were they like butt ass naked, just screaming and freaking out? Just
They
like,
were
"Ah!"
they would get drunk. They would basically eat fermented like fish and shit like that. They would literally get just like tripping out of their minds and just absolutely obliterated on ale. And then, yes, they would send and that would be their biggest, and they would run into battle first naked and just crazy. And can you imagine seeing that
You'd be like, oh
coming
my
at you?
God.
Like, and not to mention that the berserkers like were truly thought to be, it was an honor to be one of them. So like literally, like, not only are you dying in battle and going to Valhalla to feast with your ancestors and, you know, talk about your victories and shit like that, but you're a berserker going to Valhalla. Like, they are stoked to die, so they don't care. No
Well,
fear.
the berserkers, I think it was Greece, or like I think they're like the Spartans. I don't think they were from Norse. But
I thought it was more Norse.
I don't know. I got to Google it. Continue.
Anyways, when it comes to lycanthropes, many people believe that their claim to turn into wolves or other beasts was partially fueled by their violent and cannibalistic tendencies. Some historians believe that some of the lycanthropes that were persecuted in history were actually serial killers and were rationalized into something easier to understand by the public. So, werewolves versus lycanthropes. You probably heard a lot of instances in which the term werewolf was used synonymously with lycanthrope, while some people use the word
No,
interchangeably.
you're right. Old Norse mythology.
That's what I thought. They actually have two very different meanings. A werewolf refers to the idea of a person being able to transform themselves into a wolf and assume wolf-like mannerisms. While the existence of werewolves has never been proven, they are common in folklore around the world, especially in Europe.
Yeah, so that makes sense that there is a difference between a lycanthrope and a werewolf. I
Yeah.
did think they were interchangeable, to be perfectly honest.
I honestly kind of did too. I just thought that lycanthrope was just like the fancy term for a werewolf.
Yeah, in honestly, that's what I've always thought as well.
Well,
It
and
makes sense though that way back when, you know, you're gonna rationalize this cannibalistic or serial killer behavior by like, you know, oh, the devil, you made a deal with the devil, you're a wolf creature, you know, and because, you know, wolves kill indiscriminately. So all of that tracks to me.
Yeah, and I don't know, when it comes to like our pop culture, I can't help but think of Skyrim. In Skyrim, when you join the one, I forget the guild, when you join them, they become werewolves.
Ooh.
And you become a werewolf, and it gives you like immunity to poison, immunity to disease, and stuff like that. But at the same time, you get no rest because you're a werewolf. That's all I remember in that.
Interesting. Well, it's a simple fact of like, you know, there's goods and bads to all curses.
Yeah. So a lycanthrope, on the other hand, is simply a person that thinks they have the ability to transform into a wolf or other animal species. Oh, we have those now too. They're called furries. These These individuals often have other disturbing symptoms, such as psychosis or a strange craving for human flesh.
Num 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 num, Becky.
I did not
In
know.
my head, he's just all werewolves are just eating
Becky.
a 80s girl.
Becky. Like, oh my god,
Hairspray and crunchies, bud.
he bit me. It is thought that some individuals with lycanthropy believe they have the ability to transform into a werewolf because they need internal justification for their violent tendencies or cannibalistic desires.
Yeah, that makes sense. People justify all the crazy shit in their head with any way they can.
So we have some famous werewolves here. In Germany, Peter Stump had the misfortune of having one of the most famous werewolf trials of his time. Stump was tried for werewolf transformation during 1589. Oh, that's a crappy time to be on trial for being a werewolf.
Yes. This is Germany, I believe. by the
My
way.
God. It was put on trial before his town. Because the town felt they had enough evidence against him, this trial mainly consisted of torture.
that sucks. That's a shitty trial.
It is fair. Stump was connected to the werewolf of Bedburg because of his notable disability, a missing left hand. It had been reported that the werewolf of Bedburg had a missing left paw, and since it was believed that the injuries of the werewolf manifested themselves in both wolf and human form, Stump was quickly charged.
You know, it seems like everybody who's ugly or has a misfortune is kind of, man, it was rough in the past.
Yeah, you had a rough go.
Yeah.
You had a rough go.
It's
And
bad enough you got to work without like you, because whether he's a farmer or whatever he's doing, he's just living his life, one hand, and now people are claiming he's a werewolf.
And I've just got to imagine that the beauty scale in the German 1500s the bar can't be that high. Like, so you're real ugly. Like, So the trial commenced with Stump being stretched out on a rack and having chunks of his flesh ripped out with searing hot pincers.
Did you do it?
Give him the clamps.
Nope. Did you do it?
Give him the clamps.
Nope.
His bones were also crushed with stones to ensure that the great pain he suffered was enough to convince him to confess of all of his sins.
I always love how all the trials are just like, they're going to torture you till you confess. They're like,
Yeah.
see, told you.
Well, yeah.
That's all they did.
That's how it always
with
worked.
witches, with werewolves.
Yep. More weight. I always think of Giles Corey from The Crucible when they were trying to get him to accuse his wife of being a witch, and they were pressing him to death, and all he could muster was more weight. Like a gangster. Just say it. So Stump confessed to everything he was accused of.
Yeah.
He alleged that he had been practicing black magic since the age of 12 and had been assuming the form of a werewolf for at least 25 years. During this time, he confessed to killing and eating both livestock and humans. Most notably, he admitted to killing and eating 14 children and 2 pregnant women.
Hold up. I'm not going to make a joke.
My God. Aside from all of the innocent women and children he supposedly ate and was forced to confess guilt over, he was also accused of having incestuous relationships with his daughter and a distant relative. He confessed to these misdeeds as well, which resulted in both unlucky women being executed along with him.
Of course it did. It's like those there's some countries out there where it's like, oh my God, this woman was raped. Well, that means she cheated on her husband. We better stone her.
My God.
It's like, the shit is so horrible. Like, this poor person was, assumably forced upon by her father and then murdered for it. Like, oh God, don't go back in time.
No,
Ryan.
the further back you go, the worse it's horrible how bad everything was.
Although, if he was a werewolf, fuck that guy.
Evidently so. Evidently so. So after the crowd was finally satisfied with the suffering of Peter Stump, he was beheaded, and his body, along with the body of his daughter and mistress, were burned for all to see. His severed head was placed on a torture wheel, and an image of a wolf was attached and displayed in the city center to serve as a reminder to the rest of the townspeople. Don't you dare become a werewolf.
Yeah, listen, you motherfuckers.
Like, yeah.
Don't you have a missing hand, for one? And if you have a missing hand, you bet your ass better not, you hope that there isn't a wolf out there with a missing paw.
And I love, like, there's just this belief back then that there is just some mystic bazaar of black magic ritual how-to-do books. Like, oh, you were practicing black magic. It's like, oh, yeah, because just everybody knows you can just go down to the bookstore, go to that section. Like, where did they think people came up with this shit? Like that's what I don't understand about all the accusations of like, oh, they were practicing black magic since you were 12. Like, how?
Well, it's usually anything that isn't the governing religion. Let's say if everybody's Christian, anything that's like, oh, my grandmother who lived in the woods and isn't Christian knows how to make this cough syrup. Well, that cough syrup is now turned into a potion, and you know how to make it, so you're a witch. It's shit like that.
Well, like what happened to Peter Stump, I find that to be a bit of a stretch.
Oh, rough.
Some historians believe that Peter Stump was not actually a werewolf.
Huh?
But was tried by the church as a way to send a message to recently converted Protestants. My people, evidently. I was raised a Protestant.
Well, if you were in the 1500s, bud, you could have been tried as a werewolf.
Does that mean I'm a werewolf, Joe?
I've always suspected you were a werewolf, Ryan.
Sweet. Stump had converted to Protestant beliefs in earlier years during a war that was waged between the Protestants and the Catholics.
However, Tree stayed Christian.
What? Stumping Tree. Joe. No.
That was a bad
That's a bad Joe.
Yeah, it's a bad
It's a
joke.
bad Joe. Back in your cage.
That was not worth interrupting you
Back in
for.
your cage. It is thought that the Catholics may have accused Stump so that they could persuade other converts to reconsider their change in religion or suffer the same fate. They cite the attendance of aristocracy at the trial and execution as evidence that something more than witchcraft was at work. Furthermore, it appears that Peter Stump was the only werewolf convicted in Bedburg, though werewolf trials usually ended in the conviction of a pack that supposedly hunted together. So that's how they would get rid of groups
that's how
of
they get
ugly
rid.
people.
That's how they get rid of street gangs.
Like, let's just get all the ugly people together over here.
Wolfiers, come out and play.
Oh, sorry, I had to do the ding. Hans the werewolf. The trial of Hans the werewolf is often pointed to in order to demonstrate the tendency of the courts to charge individuals for both werewolf transformations and witchcraft.
Yeah, well,
In
you
the year-
got one, why not the other?
In the year 1651,
In the year 1651.
young Hans was brought before his city's court and charged with being a werewolf. He was questioned so the court could determine the seriousness of the offense and was said to have given up valuable information. Hans claimed that he had received a wolf skin from a strange man in black and had used it to hunt for 2 years. He confirmed that he was actually able to transform into a wolf instead of merely entering the wolf's body, which the court decided was magical transformation.
I mean, that sounds like magical transformation, to be fair.
The court also became convinced that the man in black was the devil. Which,
That also makes sense.
Oh, yeah,
You get a
my-
magic cloak from a man in black. It's safe to assume is from another plane of existence, and why not the devil?
by all accounts, it makes total sense.
This tracks, Ryan.
Which meant Hans, I don't know why I can't say Hans without the extra stank, was guilty of both witchcraft and werewolf transformation. He was found guilty and sentenced to death. Brutal. Werewolf legends have sprung up independently or spread to virtually every area of the earth. It is also one of the oldest tales of human monsters in recorded history. Stories of lycanthropes are common in folklore prevalent across Europe. So where did the werewolf legends originate? Thanks to Vlad the Impaler, the Dracula myth has a source point. Though
Yeah, you could pretty much be like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, sure.
that tracks indeed.
Yeah, you could. I mean, an argument could be made.
Oh, well, yeah, he drank blood, like dipped his
Dipped his
bread in
bread in the blood
Yeah,
of his
yeah.
enemies. Plus,
Though-
if you ever you hear Vlad the Impaler and you're like, oh yeah, he impaled people, cool. But the idea of impaling, like, no, like he sat people on wooden stakes until gravity made it go through their entire body and either out their neck hole or mouth.
and he would surround their camps in these people, and literally, so all of his troops are just surrounded by the screams of the tortured.
Very rough.
Gotta love it. Though
Back to werewolves.
the Dracula myth was far from validated, it says here, but no one can say with certainty at what point in history the mythological history of the werewolf began. The origin of the werewolf's legend can only be guessed by what recorded history remains. Their other name, LycanThroat, may also point to the source of this myth. So there's international lycanthrope legends. Throughout history, there are records of the trial of confessed or accused werewolves. They were hunted, questioned, and executed in much the same way witches were, because witches were accused of being lycanthropes. These so-called werewolf trials gave us a historical glimpse at rampant human belief in werewolves. Villagers arrested some of the accused because they needed someone to blame for dead livestock or other unexplainable occurrences. Still, others were accused because of actions far more sinister and less likely to be contrived.
Yes, man. So basically, anything that went wrong, they blame. Ah, it's the devil. Ah, it's witches. Ah, I'm a good Christian. It couldn't possibly be me. Being a bad gardener must be a werewolf.
Yeah, yep. Don't be ugly. Don't be a bad gardener. Make sure you keep up on that.
Yeah, it's important.
Be a good Sam.
Samwise Gamgee.
That's right. I'm a gardener. I was a gardener, sir. So in Greece, the Greek origin of the lycanthrope has many variants. One of the earliest and best known iterations is found in the Roman poet Ovid's poem Metamorphosis, published in 8 AD.
Yeah. And year 8.
8. 8 AD. According to Ovid, King Lycaon was the tyrant of Arcadia. One day Zeus came to Lycaon's palace masquerading as an ordinary man.
Oh, like that's where the name Lycan comes from, Lycan.
I like that. I
Oh,
didn't know
there
that.
you go, there you
Never heard that before. After Zeus revealed his true identity, the king clandestinely devised a plan to test whether he was a god. King Lycaon killed one of his hostages named Epirus, boiled and roasted the victim's flesh, and served it to Zeus. Zeus did not eat it. Utterly enraged and somewhat disgusted, he
only somewhat disgusted, though.
I mean, let's face it. They were pretty brutal back then. The gods were not known to be a very sane people. He set the king's palace on fire and killed his 50 sons with lightning bolts. Yep, see, a little rash, slightly rash.
Zap, 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 zap.
Cursed the king and sent him into the wild, where he transformed into a howling wolf. So, in Norway and Iceland, despite
Wait,
being...
hold on. So back to this one.
Okay,
So just launched him out there, and that is the Greek origin of a werewolf. I like that one, but I really like the idea of Zeus just being like, you know what? I'm going to kill all 50 of your sons. But let's talk about the fact that this guy had 50 sons.
Yes.
How many wives did he have, or was he just really banging out the one person all the whole time? I guess mathematically that wouldn't be possible.
You know how it worked back then. They would wouldn't the gods transform into like animals and come down and like mate with like women, like
Yeah,
human
Zeus
women,
I think
they were
Zeus
doing a
Zeus
lot.
was a swan, I
Yeah.
believe, when he like made a demigod at
Yeah,
one
yeah.
point. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't just one woman. I'm pretty sure it was multiple things, and probably animals too, because there were gods that mated with animals as well.
Well, Greek mythology. What are you gonna do? Anyways,
what are
now
you gonna do?
to Norse mythology, or was it Norway and Iceland?
Interspecies erotica. Norway and Iceland, despite being 1,472 kilometers apart, Norway and Iceland share a common mythology known as Norse mythology. The reason is that the Norse people colonized Iceland during the Viking Age, and at the time of colonization, their Aesir religion, if I got that wrong, sorry, Aesir religion, left elements of Norse mythology in Icelandic literature.
Yeah, so they share some base stories, kind of like how the Judaism book is the Old Testament in Christianity.
Something like that. And I know that Greenland was founded by a rejected, like basically an outcasted Viking, and that's why he named it Greenland, like literally out of spite. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna call your place island? This is Greenland. This is much better." And so literally the Vikings were. It was kind of like a passive aggressive thing there.
I don't know if that's true, but I love it. I love it.
I don't know. I wasn't there, but that's what I read. Norse mythology is composed of sagas. When it comes to werewolfism, the Volsunga saga from the 13th century particularly stands apart. Werewolf-related stories have a prominent presence in this saga. The most famous werewolf story in the Volsunga saga is about a father and son. While wandering in the woods, father and son came upon a hut where they find two spellbound wolf pelts. If put on, either pelt will turn a man into a wolf, and the person will possess the power, cunningness, and valor of wolves. But once on, the pelt can only be removed on the 10th day. Like, was there like an instruction book there? Like,
just get ready, man. Maybe they wrote it on a cave wall. I don't know. But I will say that is kind of like a fun little catch, right? Like, oh, you can do this, but can't turn it off.
That does sound like something right out of Elder Scrolls. That sounds like some kind of like curse bound item or something. Having put on the pelts, of course, as one would do, father and son turn into wolves and begin wandering about the forest together. Before they split up, they agreed to howl to each other if either of them encounters 7 men to fight at a time. So if it was 6, you can handle it.
Yeah, I guess.
The son breaches the agreement and kills 11 men at one time. Angered, the father fatally...
I wanted to kill him too!
The father fatally injures his son. But then a raven, the messenger of Odin, brings a healing leaf to place on his son's wound. After he becomes healed from his injury, he and his father take off the enchanted wolf pelts as the 10th day arrived. They burned the pelts to ashes and freed themselves from the curse of lycanthropy. So that was a pretty cool one. I've never heard that story.
Yeah, wasn't that a cool one?
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Not all of them were cool. I had to cut some out.
I believe it. No, shit gets dark.
Well, some of them were there was a stretch. There was a South American one, and they just went on about a lot of things. And then at the last paragraph, we're like, but they didn't actually look like a wolf, and it kind of became wolf mythology when Westerners came. And I'm just, what?
We do have it right here. It's only one paragraph. You want me to read it?
No, that's a different one. Continue.
Oh, okay. So here's another one from South America here. The Luisan is the South American werewolf. The myth of the Luisan mainly prevails in Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay. It stems from the Portuguese belief that the 7th son of a family of all boys would turn into a Luisan on the night of a full moon, especially if it fell on a Friday. So that's another Friday.
Yeah, but also it's the 7th son. Like how it just seems strangely specific because I've heard this before, like the 7th kid being like a
Me
thing.
too. Yeah. Honestly, all I know is from Iron Maiden. 7th son of a 7th son, 7th son of a 7th son.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, like literally, it's a whole album named that, which I always found funny. But now that we're talking about it in the podcast, it's like, oh,
It all makes sense.
I mean, that does make sense. Iron Maiden is a very historical, lyrical band. Anyways, so that was South America. So now let's jump into North America. Perhaps no other country has played more of an influential role than the United States in creating and propagating the werewolf phenomena, especially in the 1980s. So we're a little bit late to the party, but here we are, and now we're doing it more than anyone.
Well, we've just because of movies and stuff, we've made the world more aware of werewolf legends than they would have been if it wasn't for our movies. Is pretty much the point, right?
Started in 8 AD. That's just crazy.
Started in 8.
In 8.
Back in year 8.
And here we are, the 1980s.
So a little bit later.
And we got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and werewolves. What a time to be alive. So, and obviously, they were super popular among horror fans. Back then, the werewolf phenomenon was an element of pop culture and still is now. Of course, we still see tons of it now. Not so much. I think we're overdue for a good werewolf movie. They did the, what was the last one that they did?
I don't know what the last werewolf movie they did was. I'm trying to think.
Jared Leto, he was a vampire in that.
Yeah, that wasn't a werewolf. Man, it's been a while.
Has it been since the Lycans?
Well, I mean, no.
Underworld?
No, because other werewolf movies have definitely come out. But as far as a popular Hollywood werewolf movie, the last one I remember was The Curse, and it was Christina Ricci, and
I do know that one too.
Yeah, and it was Wes Craven made that movie.
I know that one.
Yeah, well, that's the last one I remember that was it came out in theaters. I'm sure that I have to be missing one or two though.
Sounds like we're overdue for a good werewolf film.
I agree.
So thanks to the makeup artist Rick Baker,
Ooh, love Rick Baker. Good work.
Who provided the most realistic because I knew it was coming, the most realistic werewolf transformation ever depicted on screen. Films like The Howling and American Werewolf in London, which scared the crap out of me so much when I was a kid.
Oh, I love that one. You know, I even liked the really weird remake, American Werewolf in Paris.
Ooh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, American Werewolf in Paris. I loved it as a kid. When it came out, I was all about it. I'm like, this is such a good movie. Come to find out, as an adult, it's regarded as like a terrible movie, and no one likes it.
Well, you know what? It might be a little bit of nostalgia, or maybe there's something there.
Mm.
And of course, Michael Jackson's Thriller are among his seminal works. The legend of the werewolf in America mainly comes from European settlers. When these pioneers began settling in North America, they noticed a considerable wolf population, real wolves. When their legends mixed with Native American werewolf legends, already in existence before the European arrivals, America created the werewolf myth we see today. And there is a French influence. Typically, the French werewolf, or loup-garou, has human reasoning within it. Hence, it attempts to free itself from the lycanthropic curse. It was placed under a curse by someone's witchcraft, whereas the Wendigo, a werewolf-like creature in the Native American folklore, is characterized by malevolence and cannibalism.
Num 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 num, people. Oh, I'm sorry, Becky.
As these two creatures' characteristics combined, we found a new kind of loup-garou legend still present in Canada.
Oh, that's fun because yeah.
The upper and lower peninsulas of Michigan
Yep.
and upstate New York. All three places once being French colonies. The rougarou.
I mean, we have the Michigan Wolfman. I mean, the Michigan Dogman. Like werewolves, believe it or not, there are a lot of werewolf stuff in Michigan, man.
And I was just talking about, quite literally, a couple podcasts ago, the rougarou is one of the new rides at Cedar Point. Well, new to me anyway. And now I know what it means.
Oh, werewolf. There you
I
go.
had no idea.
It's a French werewolf, man.
So the rougarou, most commonly described as a bayou-dwelling werewolf.
Oh, that's fun. Can you imagine a swamp werewolf? Oh,
Like a swamp ape?
dude, I'm just saying that's the werewolf movie I want, all right? Because I don't think there's enough horror movies set in the bayou. I want to see more
I agree.
Mississippi bayou fucking... Because, okay, voodoo, I get it. It's the area for it. But I want to go beyond voodoo.
Dude, yeah, and let's face it, it is just kind of creepy going down the bayou, and then all of a sudden you hear like,
That's a different kind of
It's
rural people.
got a little bit of scary to it. I'm just saying.
Well, you go anywhere and it's people who've lived there generations and you're an outsider, it's scary. I don't care if you're in the middle of the desert, like Hills Have Eyes, or if you're up in the mountains in West Virginia, like or if you're just like even in a different country. You don't want to be in a rural area.
Yeah.
They even have like movies where you go to like European vacations and you meet the one family who's like, yeah, come see us in the country, and you go out there in the country and you're all alone and they're gonna kill and eat you.
And you're so right about the difference too between the dialects, because you're right. Like swamp people were the bayou people, and they had like what was considered like a southern French accent, and it was really
Creole.
It was really hard to understand.
Well, like Channing Tatum in Deadpool and Wolverine tried to do like a real thick Creole accent.
Like that's
Mississippi.
Yeah.
That's Cajun. Yeah. That's what's.
So this is Louisiana folklore. The legend of the rougarou is common across French Louisiana. Also, once a French colony, like we said.
Yeah.
So, okay, we got more in Germany. In the Grimm's fairy tales, it is not the Little Red Cap, or as we know it, Little Red Riding Hood, that includes werewolfism. Instead, it's another tale.
They're like, hold on, guys. We know Little Red Riding Hood exists, but there's other ones. There's more.
The story, a soldier stated this story happened to his grandfather. His grandfather went into the forest to cut wood with a friend and a third man. There was something strange about the third man, but the grandfather couldn't tell for sure what it was. After they had done their job and had become tired, the third man recommended they take a nap. Accordingly, The three men lay down on the ground and closed their eyes. The grandfather pretended to fall asleep, but kept his eyes slightly open. He was keen to find the reason behind the third man's strange behavior. The third man looked to see if the other two men were sleeping. After feeling confident that both men were asleep, he put on, or took off, a belt and became a wolf. But he didn't resemble a natural wolf. He looked somewhat different. He quickly ran off to a nearby field where he ambushed a pregnant female horse and devoured it completely.
The horse was named Becky.
Num, 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 Becky horse. The man came back.
That's what we call bringing it full circle, just saying.
Yeah. Took off, or put on, his belt and lay down again in human form near the others. While returning to town, the third man complained about having a stomach ache. As they entered the town's gate, the grandfather whispered into the man's ear, "When one devours a whole horse." But before he could finish his sentence, the third man interrupted, "Had you said this to me in the forest, you would not be able to say this now." The story was published in the second half of the 19th century. It is one of the oldest and most popular legend of the werewolf in Germany.
Yeah. Oh, if I knew you knew, I would kill you. It's like knowing Vader was Anakin. If Vader knows you knew he's Anakin, you're dead.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That was a big thing in like a lot of the novels. Because there were a couple people who found out, and it did not bode well. It did not bode well.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, so what a cocky move, though. To just be like, right when you enter the gate, be like, "Oh, by the way, no, you're a werewolf. Peace, see ya. Thanks for cutting wood with me, friend. Bye." And it's another thing. He was like a grandfather, his son or whatever, and then another man. Why were you going out in the woods with another man? Oh.
Well, just a couple guys just having a good time, Joe.
Just cutting wood.
Just hanging out and cutting wood, man. Ain't nothing weird about it. So let's get back into France.
Yeah.
The French call the lycanthrope a loup-garou.
Oh, hold on. Before we get into France, I always thought it was LycanThroat because I hadn't seen it spelled out, and I only heard it in movies, so I was like, LycanThroat, right? So then before I did the show notes, I thought we would name this episode, "I've got a Milkbone stuck in my lycanthroat." And I was like, that is amazing. And then when I was doing the show notes, I'm like, oh, the correct spell. Oh. But should I still call it "I have a Milkbone stuck in my lycanthroat"?
Or you could say, "I caught you with a lycanthrope."
Eh.
Eh. Eh. Eh.
French.
Loup-garou. The origin is unknown, but from our investigation, we can say that all of France was plagued with lycanthropic terror.
That's kind of an awesome word.
Yeah, lycanthropic terror. That sounds like a death metal band.
It does.
We are lycanthropic terror. In the 16th century. From the 16th century until the first quarter of the 17th century, the French killed more than 30,000 people for suspected werewolfism. Well, damn.
They weren't fucking around.
In 1521, Pierre Bergat and Michael Verdun were executed as werewolves. Historical records indicate that they were a serial killer team. So it's like, nothing really missed there, but...
You know, it's funny in my head. I just imagine these two guys getting tortured and giving each other a high five as it's happening.
Like, dude, they're calling us werewolves, bro.
We did it.
Sweet.
They're going to be talking about this in 2024.
In a way, though, you're probably right? Like, anyone who's doing that shit, they're like, it's like, I'm thinking of, like, the Frighteners. I got me how many, like, his numbers that he got.
I mean, yeah, if you're going to be that evil of a person, you got to commit to the end. You can't get to the end and then just be like, "Oh, no, I'm sorry." No, fuck that. You're a monster. Stand up for what you believe in and be a monster, damn it.
That's right. Stand by your piece of crap. In 15...
Here at Earthling Entertainment, we do not support anyone being a serial killer.
We do not. In 1573, Gilles Garnier, otherwise known as the Werewolf of Dole, was executed for being a werewolf.
Well, you shouldn't have gone by the Werewolf of Dole. It's a terrible name to call yourself.
It seems like a mistake. I could see where the confusion came in. It's like, why would you think that I'm a werewolf? It says right here on your license.
"Hello, my name is Joe Wakefield, the bunny killer." Someone's killing bunnies. I bet it was Joe Wakefield. Why?
Why would you ever think that?
Your name tag.
So, by the way, the Werewolf of Dole was a confessed serial killer. So, not only like are they saying, "Oh, by the way, you're a werewolf," he confessed to killing anyway.
Well, I would be kind of pissed if I was a serial killer and then they said it was a werewolf, because then suddenly my horrible, but in their mind, awesome accomplishments are going to a supernatural thing. Like, oh, I can't help it, I'm a werewolf. No, I planned that. All right, I went through the work. I got the lime and the shovel and the rope, and by God, you're gonna blame it on Satan? What a dick.
Yeah, that is a funny thought, right? The serial killer being like just pissed off, like
Yeah, like-
being tried in the 1500s, where he's like, "Wait, no, wait, dude, that took a lot of work.
Yeah,
That-
I
that-
am not a werewolf.
I had to stalk them for weeks. I had to figure out their schedule. Like I had to do all this stuff, and it's like, and you're just gonna say that I just did it without even thinking about it? Bullshit."
Yeah, because he says he's a confessed serial killer. It
That
does
is
not
funny.
say he's a confessed werewolf.
That is funny. He's like, "No, I did that. I chose to." In 1198.
Once again, stand by your shit.
So it's once again. So in 1198, Marie de France wrote Bisque-Lavret, in which she tells the story of a hapless baron who becomes trapped in wolfish form because of his wife's treachery.
Okay, wait, hold on. Like, she cheats on him and he becomes a wolf? That's
Like,
that sucks. That's a double whammy.
Ah,
But it just says wife's treachery, so that could mean something else. Maybe her treachery is making a deal with Satan for him to turn into a wolf, and it's not just like screwing the neighbor. I don't know.
she's a hoe.
I'm just saying, we don't know.
The earliest documented instance on French lycanthropy is in 1214. In a report, Gervais of Tilbury told Emperor Otto that,
It's Otto the Fourth.
Otto the Fourth, that people in Auvergne, France.
Yeah, it's obviously a place in French. A-U-V-E-R-G-N.
I believe that, the G is silent, so Auvergne.
Okay. I don't know
France.
I don't know French.
I think I'm right. Were observed transforming into wolves during the full moon.
And that makes sense. So if you're looking over at a seance and a bunch of people jump around a fire and then suddenly they turn into wolves, it seems like something you should inform the king about.
Right, and they didn't really have a Polaroid back then. So it's kind of word of mouth.
According to ancient aliens, it did.
According to ancient alien theorists believe.
Actually, that would be so awesome. Can you imagine finding, because they always do that in movies, right? Where it's like you find a fossilized something. But can you imagine like cracking open a rock and finding like an imprintation of like a Polaroid?
That would
not a camera,
change-
but like, I mean, not like a photo, but a camera.
I think that would obviously be like a plant from like someone from the future. Like
Well,
that's what it would have to be.
You'd have to assume there was like a time portal or something because that like popped out in the 80s. I don't know. I'm going off on a weird thing. I was thinking of a different movie that I want to do. Never mind. Just do your thing.
So in summation,
Back to werewolves.
on werewolves. When all is said and done, some people speculate that werewolf transformation tales could have arose from the spread of rabies. Those who support this theory point to the fact that victims of rabies can pass the disease on to others if they bite another individual. Regardless of how the tales of werewolf transformations came about, werewolves will remain as one of the most infamous folk tales that grew to become a global phenomenon. And that, my friends, was this week's spooky stuff.
Woo!
That was a good one. Had to do some werewolves.
I was like, okay, we'll do werewolves. There's got to be some stuff about werewolves, right? And it ended up being so much stuff. I cut things out. There was like whole sections of other countries of their stories of werewolves that I thought like were at least too far departed from what we would consider normal werewolf lore or just uninteresting. But the point is, I had to cut out some good stuff too, man. There was a lot about werewolves.
And and it goes all the way back to frickin' 8 AD. To me that blows my mind. That's how far back like werewolf type transformations, and it came from a king god or whatever from that time. So that's crazy. Like
Yeah.
that's so long for that word to have traveled all the way to now.
There's an Irish tale that I had to cut out. We didn't say the Irish tale, right?
No.
Okay, so there's this Irish tale where a priest comes across this guy and he's like, dude, my wife's really sick. I need you to perform, like help her out. And they go to the hut, and basically he's like, oh, this is a werewolf. And the guy's like, oh, hold on. And he pulls the skin off the werewolf, and it is this old woman. So the guy's like, all right, I guess I'll help. And the priest helps, and then he leaves, and that was just pretty much it. But the reason why that was a weird story is because that is actually written as a historical account. Like, that's not a story. Like, I don't know if the priest said it, but it was written down as like, no, this happened.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's like, and you don't want to piss off the Irish, so we'll just pass that one up.
No, I mean, but that was my point, is there was just so many more stories that I had to edit out, because this episode was going to be, it was going to be like a 3-hour long episode, and I got to be honest, you got to go to work.
Yeah. I always do the show before work, ladies and gentlemen. So
he's in one of those weird shifts where we get record in the morning. It actually works out nice for the show, but not for his personal life.
You got to do what you got to do, and what I got to do is I got to do this show because I love it. And Joe actually did some really cool promotion for us, because we're about to be going into our disclosure discussion section of the show. And Joe actually got a dude from Ancient Aliens. What was his name?
David Childress was nice enough to do a shout out over one of those. You can contact them, and they, will do it.
And he did a great job. And if you want to check it out on social media, we're going to be putting it on all of our social media. Do us a favor, share it around. It's really cool, man. That was really cool, Joe.
Awesome. Yeah. And you know what, guys, if you like what you're hearing, if you like the show so far, tell a friend, spread the word. Let's grow our audience, as we are calling you now, all of you Earthlings. We're welcome to the show.
And we are from basically Detroit area of Michigan, but we love this show to be worldwide. And we do have listeners from different countries, from all over this country. And we just want to thank you guys.
Yeah, so thank you, our listeners in the UK and Germany are big ones right now, outside of the US. Canada as well. So
we
thanks.
had some in Australia as well.
That's true. So thank you all for listening.
We are all Earthlings.
We are. And with that, let's jump into our alien section. Are you down with that?
I am down.
All right, guys. Well, to balance out, this is a little bit of a shorter one, but here is our
disclosure discussion. Ha 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 ha! It's about aliens and stuff.
A man witnesses UFO crash and fleeing aliens. This comes to us from Coast to Coast, AM.com.
Love Coast to Coast. I don't even know if that radio show actually exists anymore, but when I was a night security guard at the Henry Ford, which is a museum, I would listen to Coast to Coast. It came on at 2 a.m., so I think it was probably midnights in, where they recorded, but I love that show.
Nice. Jose Padilla claims that as a child in 1945, he witnessed a UFO crash in the New Mexico desert near the Trinity nuclear test site. I think I've heard about this one. While horseback riding with a friend, Padilla observed 3 aliens emerging from the crashed avocado-shaped spacecraft.
Like a cut avocado or a whole avocado?
I'm guessing a whole.
So I would have said pear.
Yeah, but I mean, we're in,
actually
New Mexico, so I think there's going to be probably more avocado.
True. Plus, avocados are more around. That was a bad call. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
And I'm just going to go ahead and throw some shade on pears. Pears are gross. They are just like apples, except they have no flavor. I'm moving on.
They totally have all right.
So,
I'm team pear.
I am not. F pears. That's right. I'm going to get a shirt now. The military soon.
All the pear enthusiasts out there, Ryan. We're gonna get like pickets outside the studio. We're gonna look out the windows. There's gonna be people in the parking lot with signs being like, "Down with Earthling Entertainment, the people for pears."
This is what divided the audience.
Yes, exactly. Out of all the hot button issues, we fucking killed our career with pears.
Pears suck. So, the military soon arrived to clean up the wreckage. But Padilla managed to secretly take a small artifact, a dial, from the UFO, which he kept hidden for years. Chemical analysis in 2015 identified the artifact as being composed of common terrestrial metals, though the extraterrestrial origin could not be entirely dismissed. Padilla maintains the truth of the truth of his story, which was supported by an investigative journalist who linked the event to a mission by a World War II Army pilot. So, yeah.
Yeah. So some people are corroborating it and saying that, oh, it definitely happened. The fact that it is made out of terrestrial metal doesn't actually mean it isn't from space, because there is other metals out there in
There
space.
are.
The things that our planet is made of, well, that planet was created in space. That all that shit is in space. So while it would be a smoking gun if there was some kind of alloy that we don't have here, the fact that it's made out of alloys we do have does not mean it is not from space.
Right. Because we found that kind of materials on other planets already.
Yeah. I mean, they say gold is they say gold isn't abundant, which is why all the sci-fi that come here to say gold. That was a bad example. The point is, there are many things out there that are abundant.
Yes.
Yes. Metals, I mean,
Well, that was this week's disclosure discussion. If you guys have anything you want us to talk about, the best way to contact us now is via email, earthlingentertainmentpodcast@gmail.com.
Earthling Entertainment Special Report. Once upon a time, Chris Hemsworth had a movie. It was a Hulk Hogan biopic. Well, now it's dead. Oh no, brother. It has officially been canceled, so all 4 of you Hulk Hogan fans, better luck next time. Hulkamaniac! This has been an Earthling Entertainment Special Report.
Guys, we've done it. We have made it to the second part of the show. We are in our entertainment section. And with that, let's start our first segment of the week.
Music Mumbles.
Kelly Osbourne says Slipknot's Sid Wilson set himself on fire in Instagram video from the hospital.
Ow. To be clear, the video isn't of him setting himself on fire in a hospital.
No, it's her.
Because that's what I thought when I first read that headline.
No, it's her saying.
I know.
Yeah. So this comes to us from usatoday.com. Kelly Osbourne is warning social media after her partner, Slipknot's DJ, Sid Wilson, which I found actually, this is why I wanted to do this article. I found that a lot of people had no clue that Sid and Kelly Osbourne were not only married, but have a baby together.
To be perfectly honest, in my head, Kelly Osbourne is exactly the way she was in the Osbournes from like when we were in high school and that show was on MTV. So she's like 16, 17, kind of like punky, angsty, like, like my dad is Aussie.
Yep,
I'm gonna keep my baby. Like that was my whole thing.
I just think it's a Chappelle show where he's like, daughter, like, Papa don't preach. How about this one? Daughter don't sing. So Slipknot's DJ, Sid Wilson, messed with burn piles on Friday. And I did actually get to see the video of them coming up to it. I didn't see him set it on fire. It was just a giant pile of like shrubbery and brush.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about, burn piles, like burning
Like
leaves
a brush
and shrubs.
pile.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
On Friday.
Because in my head, a burn pile, I'm like, what are they burning? Are they just burning furniture? Are they burning?
It looked like
it's like just a bunch of church pews that we got from I don't know.
I think it was what you would call like refuse, like a bunch of
it's
yard
just garden waste.
Yeah.
I get it.
On Friday, Osbourne posted a video on her Instagram story of herself holding the pair's baby as Wilson received treatment in a hospital behind her as she gave a expletive-filled warning to her 2.7 million Instagram followers. Osbourne told fans not to mess with burn piles before adding he literally set himself on fire and exploded everything.
Oh.
She also posted a photo.
Hey, Ryan, remember when I set you on fire?
I remember that, Joe. I was wondering if that story was going to come up on this, too. That happened.
You know what? No, I will tell that story, but let's finish the article first.
So she posted a photo of herself and their baby, Sydney, who was playing and talking in the video with an Instagram sticker that said, "I have no words." In a second video on Instagram, she added, "Good morning, everyone. I just want to take a second to thank you to everyone for sending well wishes and prayers to Sid. He's doing so much better. In fact, we are on our way to go pick him up from the hospital right now." So he only had to spend a day there. That's not too bad. Osbourne said she'd give another update later, adding that Wilson is still in a lot of pain. On Friday, Wilson also shared photos of the incident in 2 Instagram videos, which were seemingly captured around the same time. Osborne chronicled the alarming moment. I had an explosion in my face, the dad said in a startling Instagram post, adding, I'm going to be okay, but I did have some serious burns from my face and arms. He continued, they're doing some x-rays on my chest right now to make sure I didn't inhale any flames, before telling fans, I don't care what it takes, I will see you on tour. Wilson said he had...
That is kind of badass.
Well, I mean, dude, I gotta love that. No, and I've seen this guy, I've seen Slipknot so many times throughout the years, so I know I've seen this man perform many times. And Slipknot, no matter what, blows me away. And he's one of my favorite aspects of their show, honestly. Wilson said he had mouth blisters, burns on his arms, and the video showed his lips were extremely swollen during that he cut a finger off over the 2024 holidays. Yeah, that was another thing that blew my mind in the video was he like looked he was like, when was it that I cut my finger off? Like as if that was just like such like a common question.
It's just a casual thing that happens.
And that was like one of the wildest things of the whole thing. So a post from Slipknot's Instagram page Friday said, our brother Sid Wilson was in an accident today and sustained burns across his body. He's recovering with his family and will still join us on stage at Rocklahoma next weekend. The band is slated to perform at the Pryor, Oklahoma-based music festival on September 1st as they embark on their Here Comes the Pain nationwide tour.
Now,
Man, we wish him well, dude. Like, that guy's the man.
Yeah, well, we definitely wish him well. I'm looking at the photo, and honestly, it doesn't look like he is going to be obviously disfigured in any way. I think these burns, while probably very severe, will scar in a way that he's not going to, like, have burns. He's not going to look like a burn victim, I believe.
I watched this
Not to
video.
take anything away from anyone who suffered from that.
Oh, no. And I watched this video. And yeah, they were like, they kept making him, they're like, okay, ready? Deep breath in. Like they had him like making sure he could still like have his full lung. Like, cause that was a big worry. Yeah. Cause like, man, you inhale flames, you could be messed up for life.
Yeah, there's nothing like, I don't even need to, you know what? I'm done. That's just horrifying. I'm tongue tied by just how awful that would be. Whew.
Well, and yeah, other than just burning the crap out of himself, the dude sounds like he's winning at life. He's still touring with Slipknot, which is honestly something to say. If you're a Slipknot fan, you know that it feels like lately people are coming and going. It's been kind of random. And the new joke was that just like every other, like I've seen memes about it, that every other week, like Slipknot is partying with blah, blah, blah now. Like, and like they're just, so the fact that he's what a career to be with Slipknot for that long. So that's the late 90s all the way up until now. We're in 2024, married to Kelly Osbourne. He has a kid. Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay, guys, so now we are in one of my favorite parts of the show because I like to go in and look at all these news articles and figure out like what the best thing is to tell you guys about. And in doing so, I learn a bunch of crap that, and here are some of our favorites. So welcome to Earthling Entertainment Headlines.
Jack Black, Paul Rudd, circling reimagining of Anaconda. This comes to us from HollywoodReporter.com. Columbia Pictures is hoping to squeeze out a new Anaconda movie for the 2020s.
Finally!
Jack Black and Paul Rudd are in early talks to star in a reimagining of the 1997 horror movie that launched a mini franchise. Tom Gorminican, who directed the Nicolas Cage meta movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Great movie, by the way. If you haven't seen it, you definitely should.
I haven't yet.
He plays himself. Nicolas Cage plays himself, and it's just very good. I don't want to get into it. We're not talking about that. Back to Anaconda.
So Tom Gormican is co-writing with collaborator Kevin Etten and will direct the feature. The original movie starred Jennifer Lopez, Owen Wilson, Ice Cube, and John Voight, and followed a National Geographic film crew who is hunting for the world's largest and deadliest snake, only to find the tables have turned.
Aha!
Taco, taco, burrito, taco, taco. Sorry.
That's right. South Park
when I
references.
think about Jennifer Lopez, I just think about her best hit, taco-flavored kisses.
Oh my God. So that is definitely a South Park reference. And if you guys know, Cartman has a couple episodes where Jennifer Lopez is apparently possessing his hand. It's a hand puppet.
Well,
It's,
it was her best work, honestly.
oh my God.
According to sources, the news story involves a group of friends facing midlife crises who are remaking their favorite movie from their youth. They head to the rainforest, only to find themselves in a fight for their lives against natural disasters, giant snakes, and violent criminals. It's unclear who is playing whom. One source said Black would play an erstwhile director, a man stuck in his job as a wedding videographer, while Rudd would play an actor who did a stint on a cop show but sees his Hollywood dreams slipping further and further away. Another source said it was the other way around.
Truth be told, if they're in early talks, it probably is interchangeable. They probably are both up for either role because they're like, who could do better in this?
The project has been percolating at the studio since the early 2023 and has gone through many rewrites as the filmmaker and Columbia tried to find the right of balance of the tones.
Yes, I know about all this because remember when we were playing the sequel game about all the sequels that exist?
I do,
So we have Anaconda.
We got to bring that back.
We will. Then we have Anaconda, Hunt for the Blood Orchid.
My God,
There we have-
there were so many.
Anaconda 3, Offspring.
Joe knows these.
Anaconda 4, which was a direct sequel to Offspring. Then we have Anaconda verse Lake Placid.
Yes. Well,
Because they versed the lake, not a crocodile. But if you just had Anaconda versus Crocodile, you wouldn't know it was part of the Lake Placid franchise, you see.
I'm just saying, Paul Rudd and Jack Black doing this style of film, I'm for it. I think it'll be really good.
I'm down. And I just think any opportunity we have to put Jack Black in the jungle, we should do so.
Why not? He belongs there. He's
He
a jungle man.
It's kind of like The Rock at this point. Just how many jungle movies you gonna do, Mr. Black?
There are never enough.
There are never enough. Oh man, speaking of never being enough, you know what? I say there's never enough Tim Burton films.
I agree.
You know, I wanted Beetlejuice 2 to happen for so long, and then honestly, I didn't think it ever would. So the fact that it's actually coming blows my mind, and it is the subject of our second headline.
That's right. Winona Ryder had a hard time imagining an adult Lydia in Beetlejuice. This comes to us from Nerdist.com. For decades now, we've heard rumors about a sequel to Beetlejuice, Tim Burton's 1988 hit, which cemented his signature style. I forgot it was so long ago.
You didn't know it was the 80s?
I really forgot it was. I thought it was a 90s film.
Nope, 88.
The story of a young goth girl, played by Winona Ryder, who tries to help two ghosts in her haunted home scare her parents away. The ghost they hire is a bioexorcist named Beetlejuice to do the deed. A cult classic to this day. Plans for a sequel have always been rumored.
Which is why I didn't believe it would ever happen.
During the 90s, they even floated Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian to Kevin Smith.
Yes. So after Kevin Smith, made his film and was getting into Hollywood, he tells this story great. He was given a couple things that, like, hey, maybe you want to work on this. He ultimately picked the Superman movie that was never made, but one of the things they pitched him was the Beetlejuice sequel.
I've never heard about that.
Yeah, he didn't do it, obviously, but it's just kind of funny that he had the job to take a crack at a Beetlejuice sequel.
And to make him Hawaiian.
Apparently.
But now, some 35 years after the original hit theaters, a sequel to the adventures of the bioexorcist is finally on the way. Original star Michael Keaton, director Tim Burton, Winona Ryder, and Scream and Wednesday star Jenna Ortega have all signed on for Beetlejuice. Speaking of Ryder, she revealed to Slash Film that she had a hard time imagining Lydia Dietz as a grown-up, much less a mother and a TV personality.
Which makes sense, right? Because when she played the character was, 15, 16 years old. I'm assuming she was around the same age too. So it is weird to think about as an actor because they come up with like, who is this person and why? Like, how would they react in a certain situation? So to think about how a character you play a long time ago would react in their, I'm assuming 40s, maybe 50s. Like, it's That's got to be a mind trip.
Well, yeah, you've got to build like a whole past of experience that your character would have had, they would have grown from into, who you are now, who you have to depict.
Yes,
That's
and
a lot.
yeah, Lydia Dietz, mother and TV personality. That's what they went with.
I guess so.
Yeah. I bet it's going to be like an occult show that she does, right?
Right.
Because the character, when you watch the Tim Burton, when you watch the trailer, she still looks all gothy. So I assume she's still like, it's going to be like a talk show about like talking, like about the other side.
Oh yeah, I'll bet that's what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
I'll bet that is it, like psychic show or whatever. Like, yeah, I think certainly.
This is Winona
So the-
Ryder.
yeah, so
Winona
this is
Ryder's
Ryder.
quote.
I think certainly. I never pictured Lydia either having children or in any type of relationship. Ryder said. I just always thought she was just probably in her own world as she got older, just sort of in the attic and happy, but alone. But after meeting Ortega and Justin Theroux, who plays Lydia's boyfriend Rory, it was easier to find this unexpected version of Lydia.
Which makes sense. The actors have chemistry with each other.
That's right. That does make sense. So, as we hoped, the title for this movie is Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. We love it because this way, if they ever make it a trilogy, they could just call the third one Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. And-
God! Michael Keaton!
Oh my gosh!
What are you doing?
Scared the shit out of me!
Get out of here, Michael Keaton! Get out of here!
You can't have this guy running around in here.
He's Batman.
And as Joe just showed us, Michael Keaton will magically appear when summoned, just by saying the title. The Beetlejuice sequel will center. You really did scare the shit out of me, Joe. I did not see that
Michael
coming.
Keaton.
Okay.
We did it earlier in the show.
I know, but damn, that was well done. That was loud and sudden. The Beetlejuice sequel will center on the daughter of Lydia Dietz from the first film. And somehow, the previously unknown wife of Beetlejuice will play a part as well.
Played by Monica Bellucci.
We think it's safe to say that both ghosts and the afterlife will play a rather large role. The teaser trailer also finally have our first look at Ortega and Keaton in their roles. We get to see Ortega's character in deeper detail in another Beetlejuice trailer. The film sees Dafoe play the brilliantly named Wolf Jackson, an actor who, given that he was known for playing cop Frank Hardballer when he was alive.
That is an awesome cop name for a TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm an actor, but I played Frank Hardballer.
100%.
Yeah.
He has taken on a similar role in the afterlife as the head of the Afterlife Crimes Unit. Oh, and he has a segment of a skull missing, leaving a bit of his brain exposed.
Yeah, they released character posters and it showed it. There's like a whole little chunk of the skull and you could see the pink brain. It's fun. It's a fun look.
Cool. It's not a normal role, admits Dafoe. The most important thing for me was to find the tone. It had to be rooted, but it also had to be free enough that you could play with it. The official synopsis for Beetlejuice sheds more light on the plot, sharing Beetlejuice is back. After an unexpected family tragedy, 3 generations of the Dietz family return home to Winter River. Still haunted by Beetlejuice, Lydia's life is turned upside down when her rebellious teenage daughter, Astrid, discovers the mysterious model of the town in the attic, and the portal to the afterlife is accidentally opened. When trouble brewing in both realms. It's only a matter of time until someone says Beetlejuice's name 3 times, and the mischievous demon returns to unleash his very own brand of mayhem.
I don't know. I like it. I don't know what I expected from a Beetlejuice sequel, but from everything I've seen, it looks good. I mean, I hope it is. It's such a weird thing because when you think about the Beetlejuice movie, you think about the fun stuff that Beetlejuice did and the fun supernatural stuff. But like a lot of that movie was about the 2 characters Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis played, which were, a couple who lived in the house and died. And, It was basically their story. So now that we've shifted and they're not the main protagonists, and we're just going to mainly focus on Lydia's family, it's just it might work. It's been so long that you need to take a different approach. So maybe this is the way to go about it.
And it is. I like that now the tables have kind of turned on her, and like now she's the one chasing after her daughter, who's going into the land of the dead, opening up the wall, saying making the same mistakes that she made when she was younger.
Oh my God. So as recording, I'm watching as my 1.5-year-old is scaling his diaper changing thing. Now we have to get rid of it. He's climbed up and he's just dangerously on top of this piece of furniture, 5 feet in the air. And, my wife said the same thing. She's like, this is you paying for the fact that you did this to your mother. Well, Lydia Dietz, all your goth antics coming back to get you. I can relate.
Yeah, well, that definitely tracks. I'm a dad of 2 boys.
I really hope my kids wear the 50-inch pants that I wore when I was a kid. Because, like in the 70s, they wore bell bottoms. And then, like, they kind of came back in the late 90s, but they weren't bell bottoms. They were just really, really large legs. And then we had that. So.
And I think bell bottoms did kind of make like a weird comeback not long ago.
I'm just saying, I want our kids to adopt our style. And we can be like, ha! We did it first.
Oh, dude, I'm ready. Yeah, let's see some spiked bracelets come out again.
Well, it's kind of like
jellies.
in this Beetlejuice trailer, Jenna Ortega's character, just because of who she is, she kind of appears gothy.
Yeah.
But the actual character doesn't seem to be dressing or being too goth.
We'll see. They obviously, they went a different route with it there.
Maybe. We'll see.
All right. So if you're thinking that there will be more Beetlejuice because his name is in the title twice, think again. In an interview with Variety, Keaton said that he didn't want to take too much screen time in the sequel. The idea was, no, you can't load it up with Beetlejuice, that'll kill it, Keaton said. I think the Beetlejuice character doesn't drive the story as much as he did in the first one. He's more part of the storyline in this one as opposed to the first
driving
one.
force, yeah.
Which is the case of this thing come in. This was a quote, so it's a little bit off. Of this thing come in and drives the movie a little bit. So basically, he's saying that he doesn't drive the movie, but he's a part of it.
Yeah, no, like basically he's part of an ensemble cast. Like Beetlejuice is along for the ride, as opposed to the first one where Beetlejuice was literally the reason why the events were happening. On this one, he's swept away with our characters. I think that's the gist.
So the long-awaited sequel to the Tim Burton horror comedy classic Beetlejuice hits theaters on September 5th, 2024.
Oh my God. That's so close, dude.
Dude, that's next week.
That is. Oh my God. I'm going to see it. You want to do a review?
I'm down.
I mean, everyone's going to do a review, so it's not like,
Why not?
Yeah, let's do one.
We haven't done
a movie review in a while.
In a long time.
I think the last one we did was No One Will Save You, the Alien film on Netflix.
And before that, it was the Hollywood classic, Good Burger 2.
Oh, no, yeah. And then we also did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
We did.
Okay, well, yeah, we're down for another review. All right, we're going to do a Beetlejuice review.
Coming in like 3 weeks.
In the meantime, let's jump to headline number 3.
Ted Lasso is apparently getting back in the game for season 4 after all.
Woo! And this is interesting because season 3 ended pretty definitively. Like it was pretty definitive that it was the end of the show. And everybody always talked about how this show had a 3-season arc. Although, when things are as popular as this show was, sometimes plans change. So
if it's good, why not do it? And this comes to us from Collider.com. In news that's so shocking, it feels like it should be illegal.
What?
Ted Lasso fans can finally start celebrating. The much-anticipated 4th season of Apple TV's Plus's beloved football comedy is beginning to take shape. According to an exclusive report just released by Deadline, Warner Brothers Television has officially picked up the options for 3 of the series' original cast members: Hannah Waddingham, Brett Goldstein, and Jeremy Swift. Waddingham, who portrays the indomitable Rebecca Walton,
Yeah.
Goldstein, the gruff yet lovable Roy Kent, and Swift, the ever reliable Leslie Higgins, are all set to return to AFC Richmond. Securing these key players paves the way for what could be a monumental season 4, with early production rumored to start as soon as 2025. While the studio is making strides with the UK cast, there's still work to be done with the SAG-AFTRA contracted members. This includes Jason Sudeikis,
Jason Sudeikis.
thank you. Ted Lasso, of course. Juno Temple, who's Keely Jones, and Brendan Hunt, Coach Beard. With these negotiations just beginning, it's clear the gears are turning to bring the whole gang back together.
Yeah, so at the end of the show, season 3, spoiler for the end of season 3, but I assume if you've either seen it or you don't care. They wrote a book. A guy wrote a book, and it was called the Lasso Way, right? And at the end, Ted Lasso was like, no, let's call it the Richmond Way, because that's the name of the team, the football organization. So if Jason Sudeikis returns, we get Ted Lasso season 4. And if Jason Sudeikis does not return, and we just have our UK characters, they can still continue the show under a different name, and it would be the Richmond Way season 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So either way, they got it.
Yeah.
So the biggest question has always hovered over Sudeikis. From the beginning, he envisioned Ted Lasso as a 3-season arc, but the overwhelming success of the show left many hopeful that he would reconsider.
We shall see.
His involvement has been the linchpin in whether or not the show would continue. The fact that Warner Brothers is moving forward suggests that Sudeikis might have found the inspiration for another season, much to the relief of the show's global fan base. As fans eagerly await further updates, the prospect of a new chapter for Ted Lasso and the AFC Richmond crew is looking brighter than ever.
Yes, it is. And I'm not going to ask you, Ryan, because I know you haven't seen this show.
Yeah, I just don't watch Apple stuff. I literally don't subscribe to anything Apple.
Fair enough.
That's
Well,
all.
What's good about the show is it is just a feel-good show. Like, everybody in there is actually, like, it's not, we're Breaking Bad, where everything is just like people are just worse and worse and worse. This is the opposite. So everybody is just trying to be a good person. It's a good show, and it makes you feel good.
Is that where the meme, you do whatever you like, comes from? Isn't that him?
Probably, man.
He's a news anchor, right? Is that his character?
I have no idea. No, he's the football manager.
I
He manages
clearly
the
know
football
nothing
team.
about this show.
Well, it's a football is in soccer in the United States. It's a football team that are trying to basically raise in the ranks.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
cool.
It's
That's
really,
cool.
really good. It's based on a commercial. It was like a football commercial where Jason Sudeikis played this character of a coach who's like going to be a football coach, and he knows nothing about soccer.
Okay.
And
Oh.
and it turned into a show.
Well, I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, it makes you wish that the Geico commercial with the cavemen show worked out, because they shot a pilot.
They did, didn't they?
did.
I heard
That's
about
a
that.
real thing.
That did happen.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, guys. We'll just jump into headline number 4 with that.
Chick-fil-A plans to launch a streaming service for reality TV as its next menu item.
No, this is real. This is real, Ryan. It's going to be Chick-fil-A Plus.
This comes to us from the Nerdist.com. Someone tell Chick-fil-A that there are already enough streaming services in the ether. We don't really need another one. What we need is for Chick-fil-A to focus on the food. We're not really sure the addition of a Chick-fil-A Plus streaming service will offer much help there. Nevertheless, Chick-fil-A plans to launch a streaming service for reality TV content. It's pretty clucking weird.
Oh! No, it is really. It is weird.
I'll bet you it's going to be all Christian stuff.
Well, I mean...
That's my guess, right? That's their whole thing.
Well, here's the thing. When people are religious, but they don't want to, like, preach, they usually just do the safe route and do, like, really, really wholesome stuff, but never
Right.
mention the religion. So I assume it'd be more like that. Like, I don't think they're going to alienate any of their customers more than they already have with their views by, like, having, like, a Jesus show, but I think they're gonna have like a Family Matters, good people doing good things.
I'll bet there will be options. I'll bet there will be if you dive there will be like sermon options and stuff. But I'm sure like most of it will be like innocent stuff like Bruce Almighty.
I don't
Evan
think
Almighty.
I don't think so. I think that's even a little too racy.
I don't know. Why not?
I don't know.
Those movies are great.
They are good.
So, Deadline reports that the fast food firm has been working on a number of major production companies, including some of the studios, to create family-friendly shows,
Nailed it.
particularly in the unscripted space.
Didn't nail it.
It is also in talks to license and acquire content. Nailed it.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps the Chick-fil-A streaming service can get Chicken Run onto its platform once it's launched. Yep, Chick-fil-A originals will soon arrive on screens as well as on our tables.
Can you imagine watching a show? I mean, you will be able to actually experience this, where at the beginning it pops up, it's like Chick-fil-A original. I feel dirty. It feels like Idiocracy. What is it? Welcome to Costco. I love you. Welcome to Costco. I love you.
Like, does Chick-fil-A have a sound? Like, like Taco Bell's got the dong. Like, McDonald's got the ba-da-ba-ba-ba. So what's... Like that's what I'm saying. Like, what it's gonna have to be whatever that is, right? Like...
Cock-a-doodle Chick-fil-A.
Like, this is ridiculous. So in the lineup is a family-friendly game show from Glassman Media, the company behind NBC's The Wall, and Michael Sugar's Sugar 23, which is behind series such as Netflix's 13 Reasons Why. The series reportedly has a 10-episode order. We're not super sure the creators of 13 Reasons Why are the right folks to make a family-friendly game show for the Chick-fil-A streaming channel, but hey, the world is a strange place.
Yeah, do you know what that show is about?
No idea.
I think it was like a high school kids and a girl kills herself. Yeah, she what do the kids say? She unalives herself and then like writes a series of letters or like this big letter called the 13 Reasons Why She Did It. And it's like a mystery and it's all unraveled and I'm pretty sure she was well, you can imagine.
It's like don't mind what I'm doing. I'm just going to throw this rope over this pole here. This is really sad.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, let's do Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, someone was watching that and
shows.
just like, yeah, someone's watching that and going like, game show. These guys know what people want to do on a game show.
You're onto something.
Ah.
So,
double dare.
Additionally, scripted projects and animation are also on the table for Chick-fil-A's streaming service.
Well, you got to have like a cartoon chicken show, right?
They're going to do, some kind of cartoon kid show, right? It's the easiest thing. And the most shocking bit of all, the Chick-fil-A streaming service may launch later this year. We guess we'll have to keep a chicken eye on whether that didn't even make sense. That didn't even make sense.
That was a bad joke. Whoever wrote this Nerdist article originally.
I know, dude. Like, come on.
I should have edited that out. My bad.
Like, you could have done so much better. Like, you want to know what? Chicken butt. Whether this all actually comes to fruition or not. Chick-fil-A has not yet given any kind of official statement on the matter of this streaming channel. And I'll bet they're going to do it for free. Because all of them do that for free at first, and then they start to charge later on if you want to continue. That way they get those numbers. And they get the numbers of like, oh, well, look, this new service had all these streams. And it's like, yeah, well, because they also got the rights to maybe one good movie that came out, like, new, Yeah,
you totally might be right. I was thinking it would be, like, they're just saying a Chick-fil-A streaming service, but, like, are we going to be able to subscribe to it? Because in my head, it was just something that would be playing in Chick-fil-A restaurants.
No, I think it'll be an app.
At the pump, when you go to and they have a little TV and it's like, hey, this is, Speedway TV.
Oh,
I thought it was some shit like that, where it was just when you go to the restaurant and it's playing. I didn't think that you'd actually be able to subscribe, but it says you're gonna be able to.
That's what I think. It'll just be another streaming service. It's going to be another app you can get. But I bet you're right now. I'll bet you're right. Once that comes out, there will be TVs in, playing their game show, their original Chick-fil-A streaming Chick-fil-A Plus game show.
If anybody was going to do a streaming service, it should have been In-N-Out. I'm just saying. That place, they've stayed quality over the years, and they would do quality TV, Ryan. In and out.
The innuendos are just endless. I don't know what else to say.
That's because you're from Michigan and there is no In and Out here. But if you were anywhere like in California or anywhere in that area, you would understand, Ryan.
I just remember it.
Best burgers ever.
I remember it as a joke from Married with Children, where she's like, "You should name the store after me, Dad." And he's like, "They already got a place called In and Out."
Oh, oh, that's funny because that show takes place in Chicago, and I'm 100% sure there's not an In and Out in Chicago.
Huh.
Married with Children. I thought better of you.
There's a big fat pony.
Headline number 5.
Number 5. James Spader's Ultron is returning for the MCU's upcoming Vision spin-off show. This comes to us from IGN.com. One of the most fearsome villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Ultron, is reportedly returning for the new Vision show. The original actor, James Spader, is coming with him. News about the villain's return comes from a Hollywood Reporter report.
Hollywood Reporter report.
Which says that Spader has signed on to reprise his role in Marvel's upcoming Vision series. As we've learned previously, the Disney Plus show will also see Paul Bettany. The
original Jarvis.
Playing the all-knowing Vision once again.
Yeah.
Star Trek Picard showrunner Terry Matalas, set to lead the project. The series has been referred to as Vision Quest in the past, but is officially untitled.
I always thought it was called Vision Quest.
I mean, that doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah, it's basically, you remember at the end of, you never saw WandaVision, did you?
No, I did.
You did?
Yep.
You know at the end how White Vision showed up?
Yes.
Well, it's basically him having an existential crisis. The show.
No, and that was actually like a really cool scene because like it was like him getting to meet another him, and they didn't end up fighting. They ended up kind of just talking.
Yes, well,
Like-
you know how he's like, I gotta go off and think.
Yeah,
Well, this shows him thinking.
I like it.
Vision Quest.
Although the untitled Vision series is still in its early stages, today's report says Marvel plans to begin shooting in England come early 2025. It means we might not see the show hit Disney Plus until 2026, but those missing the WandaVision vibes won't have to wait years for more. As another spin-off show...
Well, we've already waited years. That was the first Disney Plus show when they launched with that show.
Yes.
It's been years, guys.
Yes, it's been a very, very, very long time.
It has.
Agatha All Along is set to premiere its first 2 episodes on September 18th, 2024. So that's only in 3 weeks.
Yeah. I liked Agatha as a villain, and I'm excited for Agatha All Along because
Me too.
I like supernatural witchy shit. I mean, go figure. Look at our show. And that's what it is. You know, it's the magic side of the Marvel universe. And I got to be honest, in the comics I've read, I think DC actually handles the magic aspect better than Marvel, but I like Marvel better overall.
I agree with that. And but I will be watching The Batman on Halloween this year because Halloween literally is October 31st, Thursday, Halloween. It starts off with a Thursday, and this year our Halloween is on a Thursday. So this is the year to watch The Batman on Halloween.
There's also a Friday the 13th next month.
How much you want to bet that? Oh, that's sweet. And how much you want to bet that they are going to be like that streaming service better pump up its freaking power because that went viral. I saw like that meme went viral that so everyone's gonna watch The Batman on. So that's going to get some good numbers. So hopefully because we know we got another one of that one coming. They're doing like a Penguin show too.
Well, they are doing a Penguin show that takes place in the Matt Reeves Batman universe, which is very cool. Yeah, so that's exciting.
I'm excited for that. And
I mean, you know what? I can't lie. I'm not excited for that because I don't give a shit about organized crime. I don't care about those movies. Like The Godfather is one of the best movies ever made. And I recognize that as a filmmaker, but as a personal opinion, I'm not a huge fan. And that goes for most, personally, I'm not saying these aren't good movies, but I don't really care about Goodfellas or Casino. None of those things ever resonated.
you were never
with me.
like a crime or war. You like stories.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You know.
I like. Hold on. Excuse me. I like things that can't happen in reality, for lack of a better word,
Yes.
because I go for escapism. So if it's cops, crime, war, courts, anything like that, I am not the audience member. And it seems like even though it's Batman, the Penguin series is going to focus mostly on organized crime, and it's going to be a comic book version of like The Sopranos. So I personally don't care.
And I guess it's funny you mentioned that, because that, I guess, I never heard that promise, but that's evidently what fans of Star Wars, the Book of Boba Fett, were expecting, more along the lines of a Star Wars Sopranos, and they didn't get that. So once again, as we always say, careful with your expectation of something, because expectation can huge affect how you enjoy a show or a movie. You might enjoy it better if you just kind of go in on a clean slate.
It is hard, especially with the internet, right? Because here's a great example: Deadpool and Wolverine have a few really notable cameos. I'm sure everyone knows that they are by now, but I'm not going to say them. The point is, though, because of all the speculation online, went in expecting so many other cameos or different cameos or things that I was for sure I just knew in my head were going to happen. And I can't lie, while I wasn't disappointed with the movie at all, I really liked it. I did have a few moments where I was like, oh, I really wanted to see that. You can't,
Yeah.
you can't. You have to try to wipe the slate clean when you go watch something.
You really do. And that's something that I really try to do with everything I watch now, because I've been watching a lot more shows now. I never really watched shows. I just don't, usually I don't get into them. I don't have the attention span. I like a movie. And
Well, like your kids are older than mine, so it's funny because I get it, because I never got it before when you're like, I don't have time to do that, you know what I mean? And I'm like,
Yeah.
how could you not have time? Now that I have a kid, I kind of get it.
yeah, yep, it's rare, but I've been going into things with more of an open mind. Like, I just watched Breaking Bad, and that was one of those things where it got hyped up so much that I was afraid that I was going to go into it and be like, this isn't that great, you know what I mean? But it was. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's because I was able to, because of the show. Like, I've learned from things that we go through. I'm like, yeah, you know what? And I did. I went in open mind, and I even watched like basically what's considered the actual ending, which is El Camino. Which is a whole movie.
It's an epilogue to the show. El Camino, yeah, it follows. It's what happened to Jesse after the show.
Yes, and it was brilliant. I literally actually just finished it last night.
It
My girlfriend suggested it.
Well, yeah, it was. I also enjoyed it. You know, it's funny. I've never seen more than season 1 of Breaking Bad, because it's, once again, not my type of show. But I did see El Camino because at the time it came out, my wife really wanted to watch it, so I did watch that one.
And
It's like, and then I dawned on me that it's like, okay, so the series ended where he was just kind of trapped,
oh, he was tortured.
and that's how the show ended.
Like, they literally used him as a cooking like slave. They had him chained up and made him cook like this bad group of people.
No, I'm just saying that's how the show ended for that character.
Yes.
Yeah,
and,
they needed to make El Camino.
and with the guy that he was, with all the flashbacks.
Jesse Plemons is the
Yeah,
actor's
yeah.
name, yeah.
He was one of the dudes that was, obviously had him kind of
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
enslaved.
Through context, I got
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It was heavy. That dude he's so good at like seeming like a cool guy, but then just being so awful. Like, he's a great actor.
He is a good actor, but your Breaking Bad was like my Lost, or your Sopranos was like my Heroes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I really enjoyed Sopranos too, and that I literally just finished up, and I literally, I watched Game of Thrones for the second ride through last year. I loved that.
Well, Game of Thrones was really good. I really enjoyed the whole ride. A lot of people are disappointed with how it ended. I think that once again was because of expectations. Because, hate to tell you guys this, it was clear as day that Dany was going to go evil the entire time. And the fact that you didn't see it coming is not mean the show's ending sucked.
Like, they killed her homie. Like, of course she went crazy.
We're just gonna keep talking about random shows we like now.
I
mean,
love this.
The show's over. We're done with headlines. So you know what
we've
else?
just been rambling this whole time, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what?
And everyone in between, of course.
Because last week's show got a little cut off, which is really weird, by the way. It got cut off at the hour and a half mark for some reason. I don't know why, but we missed me talking about Alien Romulus.
That's right, yeah.
So I wanted to say, I saw Alien Romulus. It was a great film. I really liked it. It was a little bit of Alien's greatest hits, because each death that you've seen throughout the movies that you want to see, like there's, an acid death, or there's this kind of death, or that kind of, an alien pops out, blah, 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 blah. So we got a little bit of the greatest hits, but the film overall, Really, really liked it. There's a third act monster that I thought was a little redundant because they already did it in a previous film, as far as I'm concerned.
I actually had that spoiled for me. I saw it.
Yeah, so Alien Resurrection ends with this weird alien-human hybrid, and they did it again, apparently.
Yep, I saw it.
It was okay. But the reason why I bring it up is I was super into Aliens, like I usually am after something, after I watch a new form of it. So, like, Fallout comes out, I replay the game. New Alien comes out, I watch it, I start reading some novels I never read before. So
Nice.
I'm reading Alien Phalanx.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a really, really good. I'm only halfway through it. It's set in kind of medieval times on a different planet. I'm sure there's going to be a reveal where it is really Earth in the distant past, or they're not primitive, but they forgot their technology because it's been 3 generations. There'll be something, I'm sure, but that's really good. So I recommend the novel Alien Phalanx, based on the first 19 chapters.
What I'd like to see is like a Beetlejuice video game. I don't know why. Just because
I'm sure they have like a Super Nintendo one or
like,
something.
Yeah, of course, but like that would be cool if they like came out, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like they could literally even do it like old school, like scroller, side scroller style, and like just to have something for nostalgia.
I have no issue with the topic you've brought up, but a Beetlejuice video game came out of nowhere.
Well, because you were saying, well, when something comes out, you like to do something related to it. And I'm like, so Beetlejuice is coming out next week.
What could
and it's
you
like,
do?
it's like, what could you do? Like, I mean,
You watch the old cartoon?
I guess, but I've seen them all already. Like, I had them all on DVD, and I watched all of it. Like,
Sure.
and so I literally remember all of it. It was a good show. It wasn't bad.
Of course, yeah.
And so it's just, I don't know. That was just my way of being like, they could make something simple, like a side scroller or something like that.
You know, they do that. They made one for like the Mummy, with the Tom Cruise Mummy. That had a video game that was like a side scroller,
like do it like
like a Metroid kind of game,
or like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle style, like how they've done like the new Shredder's Revenge and stuff like that.
arcade style.
Yeah, that would be sick.
I love it. I think we're gonna wrap it up though, because Ryan's got to head to work and I got to put my baby down for a nap. So, guys, thank you so much for listening. All you Earthlings out there, we appreciate it. Please do us a favor and download the episode wherever you listen to this podcast. Doesn't matter if it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, whatever you want to do, hit that download button. It is literally the best way to support us at this time. And make sure to listen every Tuesday for a new episode of Earthling Entertainment, coming out around dinner time, Eastern Standard Time, USA.
So yeah, if you guys have any stories, anything you want us to talk about, you have any questions, please email us at earthlingentertainmentpodcast@gmail.com. And that's the best way to get a hold of us. And I just wanted to say thank you guys for listening, and thanks for all the downloads. It really helps us out. And like Joe said, we will see you guys next week.
Absolutely. And one more thing, Ryan has a mission for you if you're willing to accept it.
Please share us with a loved one, your best friend, a coworker, just someone who is a fellow Earthling, and that's all of us.
Yeah. Anybody who you think they might get a kick out of the show, spread the word.
And we appreciate that.
All right. For all of us here from Earthling Entertainment, we bid you a farewell. See ya.
Fare thee well.
Goodbye. So long, farewell, Avidas, and goodbye.
I don't know
the
what
rest. Yeah.
I'm supposed to say.
Well, you know what it's from, right?
It's like an old German
It's Sound of Music.
Sound of Music. Yep.
Sound of Music. You're not wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're literally.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Yeah. Well, context clues. You didn't know where it was from. You used context.
I did.
All right.
Guten Tag.
Ryan, you got to watch more musicals, evidently.
I really do.
All right.
Unbex.
May I recommend Anna and the Apocalypse?
Oh, writing it down.
Yeah, it's from well, I assume, England, the UK, because it is a British film. And it's a musical, and it's a Christmas movie on top of that.
How jolly. Very jolly.
Okay, bye, guys.
Yeah. Bye.